with President Volodymyr Zelensky demanding tribunal-style justice for a deadly strike on a train station in Ukraine's east. Terrified civilians fled Saturday by the thousands from the region, expected to be the next major battleground in the more than 6-week-old war. Amid a wave of international condemnation and fresh sanctions, Russia has denied responsibility for the missile strike in the city of Kramatorsk on Friday that killed at least 52 people, according to Ukrainian officials. But Western military officials affirmed that Moscow's forces were behind the attack. Zelensky warned in his overnight address that those responsible for the railway strike, at all levels of planning, would face consequences. This is another war crime of Russia, for which everyone involved will be held accountable, the president said. Investigators, he declared, would establish who did what, who gave orders, where did the rocket come from, who was carrying it, who gave the order and how the strike was coordinated. Ukrainian officials are also continuing to painstakingly document gruesome forensic evidence of atrocities against civilians in areas close to the capital, Kyiv, which Russian forces occupied for about a month before breaking off a failed bid to capture the city. Following the devastating bombardment in Kramatorsk, which left crumpled bodies strewn across the station platforms, Ukraine's national railway service was ferrying people away from the area as quickly as possible, using nearby cities as jumping-off points for the exodus. Despite fears that civilians trying to escape the east would again be targeted, Ukrainian officials repeated appeals to non-combatants to flee if they could. The mayor of Kramatorsk, Alexandra Honkarenko, said Saturday that evacuation buses would transport people to neighboring cities like Slavyansk, where they could catch trains bound for the relative safety of other parts of the country. The railways do not halt the task of taking everyone to safety. Departures would continue from stations in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, it said. The governor of Luhansk, Serhiy Gaidai, said on public television that Russia was amassing forces for an offensive and shelling had intensified, making it imperative that civilians find haven elsewhere. The next phase of fighting is likely to increase in ferocity, Western officials said. At the Pentagon on Friday, a senior U.S. official forecast a metaphorical knife fight, saying combat would be very bloody and very ugly. With up to 1/5 of Russia's initial invading force thought to have been incapacitated, Russian President Vladimir Putin is likely determined to seize strategic chunks of Ukraine, including the eastern industrial heartland and parts of the southern coast, in order to portray the invasion as a V. At home, Putin has moved to crush dissent and criminalize anti-war activity.